Welcome everybody to our 30-minute yin for hips. My name is Eleni, and thank you so much for joining me today. We may be using two props. We'll start in our first posture, which is butterfly pose. So allowing the outer edges of the feet to touch, bringing the heels about 8 to 12 inches away from the body. Start by lengthening the spine and notice if you may need some support, perhaps elevating the hips on the edge of the mat or a blanket. So we'll start by finding our first edge, just gently hinging forward from the hips, perhaps drawing the chin down towards the chest, relaxing the shoulders. Noticing here how your hips feel, and just creating that space here to explore the depth of this posture. So in yin yoga, as we take longer holds, we allow the body to speak to us and guide us in our practice, never forcing or pulling into a posture, but allowing that slow, gentle melting. So here, if you would like some support, you can bring both blocks, one under each thigh. And then slowly begin to focus on your breathing. Notice where your breath lands. And can we bring our breath deeper into the base of the belly and the low back? Allowing your breath to expand into the rib cage, all the way up to the chest, collarbone, and upper back. You may start to fold here a little bit deeper if it's comfortable for your body. Another option is to use props here, perhaps bringing props underneath the forearms or the palms. We allow that gentle rounding of the upper back, using our head as a prop here, drawing the chin towards the chest. Feel your breath moving through the back body. Taking this time here to scan forehead, jaw, and notice if there's any clenching or tightening of these areas. And if so, just gently relax with awareness. We'll find about another minute here. So finding your variation that works for your body today. Yin is a very unique and beautiful practice, just as all yoga is. And every day it will change. So as we settle in, just noticing quality of mind and thoughts. As we invite spaciousness in our meditative practice, just observe If we have many thoughts, just ask them to wait outside. You can get back to them later if you need to. So let's begin to slowly release. We take time and care. Gently rise, lengthening. Draw the knees in, and we'll take big windshield wipers here, right to left. You may invite that twist. We'll move into our half dragonfly pose. I'll be mirroring you, so we'll extend our right leg out and our left heel towards the midline of the body. You may have blocks here. Just find that stabilization through the pelvis. If it feels good for you to fold, gently hinge forward. Once again, we may be using some elevation for the hips. I always recommend a yoga blanket, a beach towel, something that you can fold up to the height that works for you. And we take that gentle fold as we did in our first posture. So just become aware of how this right leg is feeling, noticing sensation through the hamstring. Finding those full-bodied breaths. Is there a space where we can let go a little bit deeper? So we will prepare for a twist here. Couple more breaths here in our forward fold. And then take your time here to lift. And I do suggest blocks for this next one, although it's not necessary. So we'll start by just gently twisting the torso over that right thigh. You're welcome to stay lifted. You may start to fold here. So adjust the shape as needed. Now this variation is not for everybody. If you have any type of spinal injury, disc damage, I would suggest either staying with the upright position or finding that forward fold that we did just a moment ago. So notice here how this variation, you can start to feel that nice stretch through the side, low back. Breathing into that left area of the low back. Nice deep breaths. Slowly, let's lift. Shoulders come back over hips. We'll bring the legs forward. You have many options here. You can take big windshield wiper once again. It might feel good to take a seated twist. Maybe a gentle back bend. Legs can come forward. You can windshield wiper the feet right to left. Just do what feels good in your counter pose. And we begin to prepare for the other side. So go ahead and extend the left leg out. Bring that right heel towards midline. Find that gentle pelvic tilt forward. Begin to fold. Finding your first edge. So some of us who are very flexible, we don't have to take that widest variation of that extended leg. You can always bring it in just to access a deeper hold for this posture. One cue that will tell you the body needs a little less is if you feel your legs start to shake here. So you may or may not use props. You can always use a pillow underneath the forearms or your yoga bolster if you have one. You may use nothing at all. Slowly softening here. The head can be a very useful prop, creating space in the back of the neck. Allow your breath to move up and down the spine. Now, once again, feel free to stay as you are, especially if you're working with any type of back, spinal, low back injury. Otherwise, you may start to lift, twist the torso over the left leg, and if it's appropriate for you, you can start to fold. And then readjust here as needed so that the pose is accessible. So if you have to move that left leg in a little bit, feel that space being created here through the bottom right corner of the back. Gentle low back and side body stretch. So I'll always encourage practitioners to listen to the body's wisdom and the body's cues. If there's any type of sharpness that you feel, that is a cue to take a modification or release the posture. So So just finding that body kindness here, allowing body to be your greatest teacher and the yoga instructor to be just the guide. Let's begin to release. Start to rise gently. Start to stabilize here, shoulders over hips. Maybe gentle windshield wiper here, right to left. Maybe extend the legs forward, tap the knees, shift the energy, tick-tock the feet, do what feels good, scrunch the toes. All right, let's make our way onto hands and knees and gently lift into a downward facing dog. Just a couple breaths here. You can bend one knee and the other, pedaling out. And we'll move into our pigeon, as they call it in traditional Hatha yoga. And in YIN, we call this pose swan, or sleeping swan if you choose to fold. So right knee will come behind the right wrist, and you'll just fold here. Now we want to make sure that the hips are level. If you feel like you're tilting over onto the right side and the hip bones are not on an equal plane, then you can use a prop here, perhaps a blanket or a block if your hip is pretty elevated. So just easing into our sleeping swan. Here is an option to use a block underneath the forehead if you would like to. Observe the sensation through the right side. Observe the texture and the quality of the breath. You may come all the way down to the earth, stacking the palms, resting the forehead if that feels good. Nice long and slow breaths here. We'll slowly begin to release. Start to walk the hands back and lift the torso. Curl that back toe and draw your knee in so you're back into a tabletop here. Might feel nice to rock the hips right to left. Maybe coming into a downward facing dog. And we'll prepare for the other side. Coming back into table, left knee slides behind the left wrist. You might take a gentle back bend here to begin that traditional swan. And then slowly begin to lower down, releasing the forehead. Observing how this side may be different than the other. So if you would like or need a prop on this side, you can find it here. Although I didn't mention in our first side that we did, you can always do this pose on your back, taking a figure 4 posture instead. So you would just cross your left ankle over your right thigh. And if you're on your back, you can draw your knees in, or you can keep that right foot on the earth. So settle and notice how the edge may feel different on this side than it did on the other. Just honoring both sides of the body as unique, asymmetrical. And then starting to settle here, you may feel this shape that you're in now is perfect. You may come deeper if it feels good. So breathing and using breath through the back body. You can also use breath into the spaces where you feel that release in the pose. So here we're focusing on that left hip. So using your breath as a tool to go energetically and physically deeper. And by physically deeper, that doesn't mean that it has to take a different shape. It can just feel like an opening or a release. So let's gently come out, lifting the torso, walking that back knee in a little bit, coming back to table, rocking hips right to left, popping up into that downward facing dog if that feels good, rocking here, bending one knee and then the other. Try to let the head relax if you're in downward facing dog. Let's make our way back into our tabletop and extend the legs forward. We come all the way down to earth. Have a block handy if you would like. We're going to move into our twisted roots, which is a twist with the legs bound. So we may shimmy the hips to the right, cross the right knee over the left, and draw your knees in. And then allow the knees to fall over to the left side. So here I like to let my top knee rest on a block, and that supports the joints, the hips, and the knee. You may or may not like that variation, and it's not necessary. But for me, it does help to create more space because I don't feel like my joints are just hanging in midair. Notice what feels good for that right arm. So that right shoulder blade is drawing towards the earth. Either right arm might come into that half goalpost. You can also extend it out, allowing the palm to face up. Noticing the back of the head. Feeling that gentle rise and fall of the breath. Feeling that expansion through the right rib cage and right side of the body. Give another minute here. Slowly release, uncrossing that right knee, coming back through center, taking that gentle rock here, right to left. Releasing the feet, shimmying the hips to the left. Cross that left knee over right so your inner thigh is touching. And draw the knees into the chest. Let the knees fall over to the right side. Notice what feels comfortable for your left arm, left shoulder blade rooted towards the earth. Back of the head is soft, left palm facing up towards the sky. Perhaps we support that top knee with a block or a bolster. Couple more deep and full breaths. Feeling the groundedness here of this pose. Allowing body to rest. Slowly release and crossing that left knee. Draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze and a rock right to left. Grounding the feet here, taking big windshield wiper, just letting the knees fall to one side and then the other. Take any final movements here. We'll begin to prepare for our master pose. Traditionally, you can have the heels to each corner of the mat and the arms beside the body, palms facing up. There are other options here. You can always slide props, block, or a bolster underneath the knees to support the low back. And then gently just let the body rest here. Feel the body surrender. releasing the practice. Slowly bringing the awareness back. Perhaps wiggling the toes, the fingers, the ankles and wrist. Extending the arms overhead and pointing the toes forward, taking that full body stretch. Allowing knees to hug into the chest. Rocking onto one side of the body and finding some rest here. When you're ready, gently rise. We'll come back through our seats. Arms will reach up. We'll scoop all the energy and bring it down into the heart space. Thank you so much for joining me today. Peace, love, and light to you all. If you're interested in doing meditation, I do have a sister channel called Mindful Metta listed below in the description. You can check us out there. We also have gentle meditation and YIN music. Thank you so much, everybody. Namaste.